So what happened was that I sold their Sengkang HDB and unlocked almost 500,000 of equity, and they moved to a East Coast District 15 penthouse condo that's actually 1 kilometer to Tao Nan School. So this actually met their family's growing needs and also proximity to the school. And about 1 year plus into it, right, they actually foray into a new launch and to buying a 1+ study for investment that is waiting to be TOP to receive passive income.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Avenue 88 Podcast. I'm Brent.
I'm Jason.
I'm Phoebe.
I'm Chantel.
Today we are diving into the income blueprint of property wealth, and we are going to break down how property can go from just a place to live to a powerful income generating asset. Perhaps Phoebe can share with us what do you mean by income blueprint of property wealth?
Okay, sure, Brent. So, income blueprint of property wealth is like essentially a unique strategic plan that outlines how to generate income and build wealth through property investment. So, it's like a roadmap that guides you through the complexities of real estate and also helps you to make more informed choices and avoid all the common pitfalls. So, typically, it would include several key components like investment strategy, financial planning, risk management, growth scaling, and also exit strategy. So, overall, it will serve as a comprehensive guide to help investors navigate the complexities of real estate and to achieve their financial goals in a very structured and informed manner.
Okay, so it's actually quite deep. So we have to really explain to the audience what we really mean by all these technicalities.
Yeah, so every step has to be clearly
yes, correct.
Explained.
Can you also share with us what is property wealth and why it matters?
So property wealth refers to the net value a person holds in real estate assets after you subtract like the outstanding liabilities such as home loans, etc. So in Singapore context, usually we're looking at market value of HDB flats, private condos or landed properties minus the mortgage debt.
That's
so
correct.
why it matters for middle income Singaporeans, typically those like earning between 4,000 to 10,000 per month, property wealth will be very, very important for several reasons. So firstly, for many in this income group, their home is the most valuable asset. So as property value appreciates over time, this asset becomes a very core part of their retirement nest egg.
That's correct.
So for example, like today, a couple, let's say they purchase a BTO flat in Punggol for 350 in 2010. Right now, they can sell for over 600k or more,
Yes,
creating a
that's right.
very substantial capital gain. It also acts as a store value against inflation. So while salaries may not always like keep up with cost of living, property costs in Singapore, property prices will always be trending upwards most of the time. So helping to preserve and grow wealth for many of us. So Chantel will actually be sharing more on this later.
Yep.
With property planning, property wealth can also allow all the middle income families to upgrade from HDB to private condo or even a better located flat.
So
this
many,
strategy-
actually a lot of people keep having the impression that they are not able to do so through this upgrading process, but it's actually very feasible, and we will probably
Yes.
explain this a bit more later on.
Yes, correct. So this strategy is what we call asset progression,
correct.
and it can increase our property value over time. And also a lot of Singaporeans definitely use, most Singaporeans in fact, use CPF OA, savings for account, so for housing. So these funds are locked in the property, and this indirectly helps them to build equity. So selling this property later would help them to recoup the CPF, including all the accrued interest, which can then be reinvested or saved for retirement. And finally, I think that property mostly it will be used to bequeath to children, right? Providing them with a significant financial head start. So for many middle income families, this is a very key part for intergenerational wealth transfer.
Yeah, exactly. So I like what you share about this legacy planning part, right? I think besides just like inheritance, like passing down physical property, right? When the parents they actually gain from the growth in property prices, right? They also have the financial ability to help their children in coping with the growing like
Rising
property
costs,
prices.
yeah.
Exactly. Like recently, we actually see a lot of cases, like especially in show flats, when we
Yes,
have
yes.
buyers who are below like age 35, right? And then they're
Yeah,
coming in
very
to
young.
buy all those $1 million
Yeah,
properties,
very, very
right?
young.
Most of the time, they actually have a lot of help from parents. Like this kind of help can be easily in like hundreds of thousands to like even like 1 mil kind of
Yes, we
cases.
call it a PAP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate? PAP?
PAP stands for Parents Assistance Program.
Wait, is it already official program?
Lately, yes.
Actually, this is quite true. But and you really, if you really believe in this, that is very important for our future generation, right? This is already the right time to start building up the wealth, right? So
Yeah.
that we can slowly pass on this legacy to our offsprings and our future offsprings.
If not, it's
I
very
mean, yeah.
hard to save up such a huge amount
Correct,
of
yeah,
money.
that's true, that's true. Correct. With
Mm.
especially as mentioned that property prices are overgrowing. So parental support is really needed for the future, for legacy planning.
Yes.
Exactly.
exactly. So so when it comes to talking about money from property, right? Of course, one of the most tangible way is to use your property to generate income. Yeah, and this can be done like two ways. Either like an active way or a passive way. So I'll just elaborate more on that. Okay, so like for active property income, right? It refers to like the income that you earn from your property through your active involvement. So examples of these could be like flipping of properties. So like one example that I heard recently is like how there's a buyer. She actually bought like a property a few years ago under value. So the seller that sold her the property actually suffered like close to $1 million loss. Then she managed to buy it at that price, right? Good price. And then right, she actually renovated the property, and then within less than 5 years, I think about 3 to 4 years later, she actually sold it for $500,000 kind of profit. Yeah.
Oh,
So
Actually, there's another classic example that most investors are doing it, which is to buy old land.
correct.
Actually, to do rebuilding,
landed.
right, and to actually make it very nice, and to
Correct.
actually sell at a profit. So this is
Correct.
quite a common thing where you just mentioned about flipping properties.
Exactly. Like what you mentioned about buying land, right? Actually, for some people, they can even just buy that land and never do anything, right? And then they sell it later for profit. So, but then that one is not active already. That one kind of passive. That one you just need to have good foresight. Then you just buy and wait.
Yes,
So that one I'll touch on later. Yeah. So for the active part, right? This oftentimes involve adding some form of value. So actually, sometimes when we serve investor clients, right, we do have this saying that when you buy a property, you buy ugly, because when you buy ugly, right, and it's undervalued, right, then that's where you have the opportunity to kind of like add some value and sell it for profit later.
Correct.
Yeah. So this is one example, like actively being involved flipping and adding value. So another example is like running your own co-living space. So I think this is like a growing trend, especially after the COVID period. So this can be in a form of like by purchasing a property, right, and turning it into a co-living space, managing it yourself. So that's one way of doing it. So okay, so for example, another way is to run your own co-living space. So for example, some people, they can like buy a unit and then run their own co-living space, renting out rooms. So that's one way. Then another way could be that even if you don't own a property, you can rent another property and
Correct.
then you also run your co-living space with the permission from
Correct.
the owner, right, to let you sublet the rooms. So that's what some people might do as well.
Yes.
Yes. So actually, I have a seller who rebuilt the whole place. She renovated until very, very nice. And it's a big one at near Bukit Timah side, Upper Bukit Timah side. Yeah. So what she did was she built all the different rooms, and it was a 3-level, it's 3-story lah. So they have kitchens on each level, and then like just rooms for everyone.
Oh,
so
okay.
she's doing quite well with the the rental yield lah. Yeah. So it's very good. Yeah.
Exactly. I think especially some of these landed properties, right, some of their rooms are really huge, and it comes with like own bathroom. So these are really quite suitable to turn them into little studios.
Actually,
So
the
it's
one
quite
I saw at
interesting.
Frankel was quite similar. So it was a 3-landed penthouse, right? So what they do was the owner did a three-level dual key. So every different level has its own entrance.
Yeah.
Wow.
So remember the first level, they had their own entrance. Second level, they have a staircase to go up. So the 3 tenants of the different levels will never get to speak to each other. But this actually elevate the rental yield by a lot, because you're particularly renting like a single level floor plate.
It's like your own building,
It's like your own
basically.
building.
Yeah.
So this is something like, as what Chantal mentioned, is interesting ideas to actually incorporate co-living, right? To actually increase the rental to become active.
Yeah, exactly. So like there are just many ways that they can capitalize using creative methods based on the real estate that they have. So in a way, this is like very active managing. So of course, another way, right, is a more traditional, straightforward way, like being a hands-on landlord yourself. Means that like you don't hire anyone to manage your tenancy. So you manage your own tenant, and then you manage your property. If something goes wrong, then you'll be there to fix it, and also like very
Basically a
hands-on.
job.
Correct.
Correct.
That's your basically your job. Yeah. So with that, so of course the key traits of active property income in this case, right, means that there is a lot of time, effort, and
Yes.
ongoing management required from you if you decide to take this path. And also sometimes the income may stop if you want to take a break. Like maybe like if you stop wanting to manage, then maybe then the income will stop, right? So so the question is that, is this like a realistic approach in Singapore, right? So I would say that to an extent, let's say if you are someone who sees this as your full-time business, then 100% in it, then I think it can work lah. But let's say if you're someone who holds a 9 to 5 job, then it can be quite strenuous. Like you might not have the headspace or bandwidth to deal with it.
Good for retirees. Lah.
Yeah, good for it.
Quite chill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, possible. Yeah. So this is the active one. So now I move on to the examples of passive property income. So passive property income, right? Basically it involves a lesser day-to-day kind of involvement. So for example, it can be like rental income, right? That comes from property that is managed by agents. So I think that is one thing that we are quite familiar with, like for all of us, right? We actually have some clients where some of them, they buy their investment property. They never see the property before. From the collection of keys to like
until the day
renting
they sell.
Until they sell, they also never see the property.
That's true.
Basically, they every month just look at their bank account. Oh, got money coming, okay. Yeah. So basically, even like when it comes to repairs or everything, they don't even need to be so too involved. Like they just need to have a report. So in a way, this is a very passive kind of rental income in this sense. Yeah. So another example can be dividends from REITs. So investment in REITs also pays out like dividends. So that's one way. Another way would be income from fully paid properties. So sometimes when not say sometimes, but when your property is fully paid, right, it is possible to take out like equity loan from it. So you can unlock money out of it. So one way you can actually achieve income from it, right, can be once you unlock the equity and then you use the money to invest into some other things that pays you dividends, right, then you're still getting money from it. So it can work like double stream of income, because on one hand your fully paid property is helping you collect rental, then you still unlock the equity to put into another place, right, to make more money for you. Or you can use the equity, right, to go and down pay another property, right, to go and rent out. So there is multiple ways that correct to have all this income coming. So like creating multiple streams of income from the asset. Yeah. So of course the key traits of a passive property income, right, is that it requires very minimal effort. So basically I think for this case, right, your judgment is your best trait that you need to have. Because for example, judgment in the sense of selecting the right kind of people to work for you, like a good agent to manage your property so that you don't have to worry about it. Or just now we did mention, like for example, if you do not want to flip properties by being so involved in renovating, right, then you just have to spot those properties that even by not doing anything, because of other factors surrounding it, it will actually increase its value, right? Then you just let it sit there. So that is also another way. So basically, if you want to go through this route of passive income, right, then maybe your key trait is that you need to have good judgment, or have good people on your side to help you do the right things. Yeah. So my observation is that more people in Singapore, right, would take this approach, because most people would probably be holding some form of full-time job, or they rather spend more time on the things that they like to do or with their family. So they probably might not have as much bandwidth or want to dedicate so much bandwidth to dealing with all these mundane stuff lah. Yeah. So even like retirees, I mean, some of my clients, right, they are retirees, but every time I ask them about like things about their property, they say, oh, Chantal, you just decide for me, like, just leave it to you then. Yeah, you just tell me that the end outcome.
On the contrary, some retirees, which I have clients, they like to get hands-on.
Yes, it's true.
It's just a way to actually get their mind active.
Yes.
Go down to the unit, bring some toolbox to do something. So
it's true.
You do get the kind of retirees enjoying this kind of process also.
Exactly.
Yes, I do have this kind of clients also. Since you are already sharing on how you can generate passive income from property, can you also share with us how property can actually beat inflation?
Yes, exactly. So actually this is one of the really beautiful thing about property investment is that, okay, so let's say we'll show this chart like in front. So property prices, right, are historically a good hedge against rising cost of living. So if we look at this chart here, it compares the property indices versus consumer price index. So you can see that there is actually three segment of the property index over here, and actually all three residential segments, right, have outperformed the consumer price index since 1990. And it continues to be a good hedge against rising cost of living. So historically, it has already proven so, and we do believe that moving forward, right, it would likely still be the case. And here are three main reasons why. So firstly, property appreciation happens right over time. So like why this happens is because property prices in Singapore tend to increase faster than inflation, and this is driven by the limited land supply, urban development, and economic growth. Yeah, simply by the fact that there isn't a lot of land, so that's why it is a very demand and supply thing lah. Yeah, so this is one reason. Then the next reason, right, is that rental income also increases with time. So rental rates in Singapore often rise with or ahead of inflation, and this provides a steady income stream that can offset inflationary effect. So I think it's like double-edged, right? In a way that rental income, when the rental prices increase, it creates an inflationary effect in the
That's correct.
economy. But if you're at the receiving end of this income, then it helps you to fight against this inflationary effect.
Yes.
Actually, this reminds of story because I've been handling this unit at One Amber, East Coast condo, right? So in 2010, which is about 15 years ago, right, the exact same renter, right, was actually receiving about 4,000 for a 3-bedroom. But recently, I got it rented out at 7,003.
Wow.
So to what some people say that, because the property price, the property ages and the rental will fall. But it's actually not the case. As what Chantel said, because due to inflation, due to increase in cost and stuff, prices of rentals will also increase, and the rental income will also naturally increase from there.
Yeah, that's
especially
right.
after COVID.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, exactly. So and the third reason is what we call the leverage effect. Yeah, so because property is one of the product, right, where one can leverage quite a bit. So like for example, for residential property, you can just have to put down 25% and then you can borrow 75% from the bank, right, to finance the property. So with that, right, it just means that let's say if someone has 250,000, if a person were to just go into some form of fixed deposit, then they just have 250,000 to play with. But let's say if this 250,000 is used for property purchase, right, this person can actually purchase like one new property, because if he qualify for the 75% loan, right, then he can use his 250,000 to turn into a one new property.
That's correct.
Yeah. So and this leverage effect, right, actually can happen like there's a multiplier effect to it, because like he started off with 250,000, he buy this one new property, right? Then maybe 3 years later, this one new property appreciate to 1.3 mil. Then he actually have a paper gain of another 300,000, which he can unlock the equity, right, to go and buy another property, and then he leverage again, and then he make more money out of it, right? So with this, it actually helps him to have more money, but it also in a way it also kind of contribute a bit to the inflation for the economy. So exactly. So it really depends on like you are at which side of the table, because if you are the one who is doing this, right, your property can help you hedge against inflation.
Yes.
Yeah, but let's say if you are like on the other side, like if you're just a tenant leasing, right, then you will be subjected to this inflationary thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to share about similar concept of leveraging, right? It's like that there was once I actually helped a client to actually sell the HDB. So with the cash proceeds, right, he could have been putting more outlay into the property and taking lesser loan. But he chose not to. So what was the strategy behind? They actually take a 75% loan and use part of the cash, right, to pay up the first property, keeping part of the cash to actually buy another investment property. So this is also another leveraging effect by actually maximizing the loan, having more capital outlay to actually diversify your property assets also.
Yeah.
So next, Jason, can you also share with us what are the 3 stages of property wealth?
Sure. So the 3 stages of property wealth mainly we have actually come about is actually these three keywords, which is accumulation, optimization, and passive income. So what do I mean? But before we go into the accumulation part, right, we need to talk about the first wave where we get our capital outlay. So how do we get it? Of course, from our salaries, from our savings all these years. It could be also from other incomes such as your side hustle, your other investments, could it be stocks and bonds. Also parental support, which we'll talk about it just now. Or maybe if you're lucky, you strike Toto and get a 1 million and you can start to buy property. So the accumulation will come with the right framework to choose the right property that will have a healthy capital appreciation. So we always believe in having the right framework to choose the right property, right, that will be able to make money, not just one that actually just stays flat. So with this, right, the first property I always believe we should provide the best stepping stone, right, for you to actually move on with this accumulation part. So when your parents always say that, hey, you must BTO, it's actually not wrong. But I personally, just a very personal thing, I don't really like the fact that for BTO, right, you got to wait 4 years for the BTO to be ready, 5 years for the for the MOP. Unlike private properties, right, which actually in 3 years, right, once the seller's stamp duty is done, right, you can actually already sell and actually make your gains from there.
Yeah.
But of course, if you do not want to consider private properties, resale HDBs are also option to actually get capital appreciation just in 5 years because of MOP. So the capital gain and the growth is where the accumulation comes into play. So of course, not forgetting that while waiting for the capital appreciation, your salaries also grow over the years.
Yep.
You also get savings during these years, and this is where you'll get the right accumulation of equity for you to go into the next stage, which is optimization. So optimization is where one sells to upgrade to the next property, be it upgrade to a larger property or one with a better value, or moving probably to schools or nearer to parents, so that without any cash outlay, because this is what we have been advocating all the while, that you can actually really upgrade to a larger property without any further cash outlay from your savings.
Yes, that's right.
And in certain situations, right, you can even take lesser loan, so that because you have more outlay already. And also in certain cases where you can actually split the properties, for example, selling one HDB to actually buy one investment property and one property for homestay. So that's where the passive income comes into play, because when your mortgages starts to get slowly paid off over the years, then you eventually receive rental income as your passive income. So on the same topic, right, there's always a common misconception that people will say that, property, to own a private property, to grow property through wealth through property is only for rich people. I dare to say this is not true, right? In fact, in my 15 years experience as a real estate agent, right, I've actually seen across the board that through experiences, through learning from various clients, right, that actually most people don't get rich just from parents or maybe being support from parents, right? But actually it's through property growth. So I've actually seen a lot of my clients, right, through property wealth, they build property wealth through this process of accumulating salaries growth, through optimizing, and to get passive income. So once again, I'm not talking about clients that actually strike Toto and actually have money, but they actually really build this wealth and actually really upgrade their property, right, through buying the first right property that will be able to make gains and actually selling them for a profit. And I also believe in this a lot, and I've actually took the route. So like for example, my first property was able to make monies through the first few years, and this was able to give me a stepping stone to actually climb up the ladder by buying a second property and also buying a property that is actually much larger also. So just to give you a case study on how this income generating method can work, right, was where actually one of my client who actually believed in this property wealth income blueprint, and actually sold their HDB and actually buy 2 properties. So actually I met this client who were actually window shopping through one of my private condos that was marketing. So bearing in mind, they were not my warm leads. They were someone that actually I met who have no experience with me, and I really share this framework and the income blueprint with them. So what happened was that I sold their Sengkang HDB and unlocked almost 500,000 of equity, and they moved to a East Coast District 15 penthouse condo that's actually 1 kilometer to Tao Nan School. So this actually met their family's growing needs and also proximity to the school. And about 1 year plus into it, right, they actually foray into a new launch and to buying a 1+ study for investment that is waiting to be TOP to receive passive income. So this is one of the many stories I've done, but actually focusing on the fact of that selling a HGB can allow you to actually unlock a dormant capital to actually allow you to make your money work harder for you by advocating on this framework and actually the income blueprint of property wealth.
Thanks, Jason, for sharing.
Yep.
Phoebe, can you share with us how actually you can manage this kind of risk of owning private properties?
Sure. So risk management is very, very important, and today we're tackling a very real issue in Singapore's property landscape. So how exactly do you grow your property wealth without becoming like asset rich but cash poor? So it's a very common scenario, especially among middle income Singaporeans who own a valuable home but actually struggle with monthly cash flow. So let's break it down now, share like some simple case studies. So in Singapore, many homeowners, especially those in their 40s and 50s, find themselves in this situation. So they can own $1 million HDB flat or condo, but they don't have enough disposable income.
Yes.
So monthly expenses are very tight, retirement plans have to be delayed, and selling the property may even feel like a last resort. So this happens when too much wealth is tied up in the home, leaving very little cash or CPF liquidity for lifestyle, emergencies, or even investment. So for example, if you look at a case study, like a couple, both in their early 40s, maybe upgraded from a 5-room HDB in Tampines to a condo in Serangoon for 1.5 million in 2020. They used their CPF and cash for down payment, and then they took a 1.1 million mortgage and committed to paying a hefty monthly repayment of 4,200. So today, Their condo is valued at 1.65 million, but that's on paper. So they make money. But in reality, they actually have very little emergency savings. Their CPF is like heavily drawn down, and also cash flow is tight. So they struggle to invest or go on holidays, etc. So this is actually a textbook case of asset rich and cash poor situation. So yes, the property has appreciated, but the strain on their monthly finances actually means they're trading comfort for potential capital gains.
Yeah, so this is a very, as you say, it's a very good example of people trying to chase dreams, right? But not being realistic. So as much as we advocate the fact that we can actually upgrade and to grow your property wealth, right? We are also, our framework also includes about being cautious about not overspending, which I think Phoebe, you're going to mention about the various strategies, right?
Yeah, so how exactly can we avoid this? We are going to share like some key principles for middle income in Singaporeans. So the first one is right sizing over upsizing. So buy what you can comfortably afford and not just qualify for. We don't max out all the loan. So rule of thumb, keep monthly mortgage payments to below 35% of the household income to be safe. So secondly, you have to preserve liquidity, meaning you should always maintain 6 to 12 months of expenses in cash or CPF OA. So don't stretch your budget to like the last dollar just to buy a bigger or a nicer, fancier property. Thirdly, you should plan for future phases. You have to consider how your cash flow will look if your, for example, interest rates go up. You need to stop working for a while, or you need to support aging parents or children's education. So stress testing your finances is very important before you commit. Yeah. And finally, think about rental yield and exit strategy. So if you're buying a second property, make sure it can generate sufficient rental income to cover the loan. Also, know when you should plan or know when you plan to sell or upgrade again, and how the property fits into your retirement plan.
Yeah, so exactly. So I think this is really where the blueprint, right, really comes into play, because with like a income blueprint, right, we actually can chart like a property journey at different stages. And like before someone were to buy a property, right, we actually have all the numbers very clearly stated, like in terms of your monthly repayment, how much are you going to expect? And then let's say if it's an investment property, what is your cash flow like? What is the expected rental yield and all that? Like all these numbers have to be very clearly stated before you go and buy a property. I think this can really help you to avoid being like shocked, because some people they might max out like their TDSR. So of course they can qualify for that full loan, but then after paying the monthly mortgages, right, they did not factor in like insurances that they need to pay, and then and they might need to make sacrifices for holidays and all that. Yeah, so that's one thing, right? Then another thing is that when people are buying their investment property, right, they either got too bullish about the rental income that they can collect, and they actually miscalculated their cash flow and all this. So all these can be quite traumatic for some of the buyers who are not as savvy.
One of my clients recently got caught because of the increase of interest rates a few years ago, right? So this was something that they didn't foresee. So then after that, the morning mortgage got increased by 1,000 or 2, which actually caught them by surprise also.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why all these numbers are really is very important, of which Brent, perhaps you can share with us what are the key metrics we should look at. Yeah.
Thanks, Chantel. So the key numbers to track when generating income from your property, right? We actually while waiting for a healthy capital appreciation to happen on your property, you may actually will rent it out for passive income or sustain your mortgages. So our team actually came up with these 6 pointers that we feel that is really important when renting out your property to ensure or at least keep track of your cash flow. So number 1 will be the net rental yield. So we always talk about a gross rental yield, but this time we want to talk about a net rental yield because there are many factors to consider. So basically, the net rental yield is your annual rental income. You less off all the maintenance fee, property tax, agent fees, insurance. So you will get your net rental yield. So why is this important? Because in Singapore, properties are expensive. If your net rental yield is below 2, actually every month you are coughing up more money, and this may not be an asset that gives you more passive income. So it also means that your capital is underperforming. So at least we should aim for 2 to 3% net rental yield in Singapore as a healthy benchmark. Yeah. For the second point will be monthly net cash flow. Why this is important is because, let's say example, if you buy a 2.5 million property and if you are young enough, you can get a max loan and a max loan tenure. Monthly, you are paying actually about 7,500. But however, if this property is only paying you 6,000 a month, right? Every month you need to cough up about 1,500, and that is not including your maintenance fee yet. So this means that you are in a negative cash flow. This will also serve a sign of a warning sign. So you need to know how much reserve fund you can actually sustain this kind of life. However, if the property that you purchase is in positive cash flow, the property pays for itself, can cover your mortgage and also your maintenance fee, that is a really good investment property to hold. Okay, so the third point I'm going to share is the loan to value ratio and also the total debt servicing ratio. Why these two is important is because in Singapore, for the LTV ratio, right, for your first mortgage, you can actually borrow up to 75%. Subsequently, it will drop. Then for the TDSR, this limit your monthly loan obligation to 55% of your gross monthly income. So what this means is that you can actually know how much you can loan, but however, that doesn't mean that you should actually max it out. You may still have to consider that you have other things to pay, such as insurance, car loans, investments. So don't over leverage. Over leveraging will be quite stressful. Yeah. So next will be the occupancy rate and the vacancy period of renting of your property. Why this matters is that people often forget that during the tenancy, right, maybe every 1 or 2 years there will be a vacancy period because there's a switch in between of tenancies, and also sometimes rental market is slower. So you may have like a 1 to 2 months gap during this period. So you just factor this into your sunken cost as well.
Also, because I realized that there are some landlords, right, who always keep up, who always want to leave the unit vacant for a higher rental. But then in the end, right, when the unit is vacant for a few months, then they settle for lower rental. Which actually, if you work back the math, right, they should have settled lower rental.
Because they're losing out thousands every month.
Yes. Then point number 5 will be the ongoing and future maintenance costs. So there will be upkeeping costs involved when owning a property. So besides paying your sinking fund and MCIT fees, common issues you have is like the aircon repairs, plumbings, minor fixes. Then sometimes big ticket items will be like structural repairs, roof repairs, and even like repainting of the whole house. It will cost you thousands of dollars.
Yeah, exactly. So even though tenanted, we must remember that tenants are only responsible for minor repairs.
Yes.
So all these very major problems with heftier costs will end up being issues that landlords have to bear the expenses of.
Yeah, so sometimes if you buy into like older condos, these will hit you in certain ways for some major works that can cost you like up to tens of thousands. So better to set aside some reserve. And the last one that we feel that is the important point will be the capital recovery timeline. So basically what it means is like how long am I getting back my capital that I put into this property. So do remember to track your down payment, renovations, stamp duty, legal fees, and any furnishings that you have already paid. So let's say if this property that you purchase might take you 10 to 15 years just to break even on your capital, you really need to rethink whether this is the right property to actually park your money.
So you see, there's so many points that actually encompass this income blueprint of property wealth. So this is where our Avin 88 framework comes into play, because we the agents here, right, will be able to actually select the best property, because honestly there is not all properties out there are really suitable to actually allow you to make money. So the framework is very important for us to actually select the right property so that your property wealth can actually grow from there.
So in conclusion, wealth isn't just about value, it's also about usability. So being asset rich is meaningless if you are stressed out every month about your monthly bill. So true property wealth is about balance. You need to balance on your asset value, liquidity, and also have a peace of mind. And also always ask yourself, am I comfortable holding this property for long term? Can it help me retire, or is it holding me back? So don't forget, property is a long game. Play with clarity, not just ambition. So apart from risk management, these are the key numbers that we use to track when generating income from your property. So thanks for sticking with us till the end. If you enjoyed this episode or find it really useful, we will appreciate your help if you can hit the subscribe button, give us a like, and also share with us your comments. And we will love to hear you soon. See you.
Bye.
Bye.